I am Robert Chen, 67 years old, and somehow still reeling from wounds my own son inflicted. As a retired aerospace engineer who spent 38 years designing navigation systems for commercial aircraft, I thought I'd earned respect and maybe a little peace in my golden years. But 3 weeks after we buried Linda, my son Marcus showed up with his wife, Rachel, and a real estate agent, all three of them wearing practiced smiles that didn't reach their eyes. "Dad," Marcus said, setting his coffee cup on Linda's favorite coaster without seeming to notice. "We've been thinking. This house is too much for you now." Rachel found a really nice assisted living facility in Carlsbad. Ocean views, social activities, the works. I simply nodded and listened. That night, I opened the safe in Linda's art studio and pulled out the envelope marked, "When the Vultures Circle." Before I tell you what happened next, let me be absolutely clear about my family, because this matters. I have 2 children. Marcus, my son, is 40 years old, works in pharmaceutical sales, and married Rachel 8 years ago. Rachel came from money, lost most of it in her parents' divorce, and has spent their entire marriage trying to claw her way back to the lifestyle she thinks she deserves. They have 1 daughter, my granddaughter Sophie, who just turned 17. My daughter Amy is 37, works as a trauma nurse at UCSD Medical Center. Divorced 3 years ago, no children. She's always been the quiet one, the one who absorbed everyone else's chaos and tried to keep peace. This story is about what happened when Marcus and Rachel decided my grief was their opportunity. Growing up in San Francisco's Chinatown taught me that survival required both flexibility and steel. My parents immigrated from Taiwan in 1952 with $200 and a suitcase of hand-me-down clothes. They built a life through the kind of relentless work that leaves calluses on your hands and iron in your spine. I inherited both. Linda was different. Third-generation Irish-German from Sacramento, art teacher, had this laugh that could fill a room and make you forget whatever you were worried about. We met in 1979 at a community center dance. Married 6 months later despite both sets of parents warning us that mixed marriages were harder, that we'd face discrimination, that our children would struggle with identity. They weren't wrong about the challenges. They were wrong about whether we could handle them. We bought our house in San Diego in 1985, a modest 3-bedroom ranch in Claremont with a view of the bay if you stood on the back fence and squinted. Linda painted every room herself, choosing colors that made the light dance at different times of day. Sage green in the kitchen, soft blue in the bedroom, warm terracotta in the hallway. The backyard became her outdoor studio, where she'd set up her easel and paint for hours while I tinkered in the garage. That house held 39 years of our lives. 2 children who grew up thinking love was supposed to be complicated, 4 different dogs, countless dinners where we argued about politics and laughed at our own jokes. Linda's paintings covered every wall, abstract pieces that captured light and movement in ways that made you feel something you couldn't quite name. Marcus always said they were nice with that particular tone that meant he didn't understand them. Sophie would stand in front of them for minutes at a time, just absorbing. The phone call came at 5:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. Marcus's voice had that controlled urgency I recognized from his sales pitches. "Dad, we need to talk. Today. It's important." I knew what was coming. Linda had been gone 21 days, and I could already see the gears turning during the funeral. The way Marcus and Rachel kept whispering to each other. The way Rachel's eyes lingered on Linda's paintings, probably calculating their resale value. They arrived at 10 a.m. in Rachel's white Tesla, which they couldn't afford but leased anyway because Rachel said image mattered in Marcus's line of work. The real estate agent followed in a BMW, a blonde woman named Jennifer who looked like she'd never heard the word no and didn't plan to start learning today. "Mr. Chen," Jennifer said, extending a hand with nails so perfect they couldn't possibly be useful for anything except decoration. "I'm so sorry for your loss. Marcus and Rachel have told me so much about you." She spread glossy brochures across my kitchen table, each one showing smiling elderly people in pristine facilities, everyone looking medicated into contentment. "Sunshine Estates is really quite wonderful," she continued. "They have a full activities program, excellent medical staff, and the monthly fee includes all meals and housekeeping." "Monthly fee?" I asked quietly. "Well, Yes. Rachel jumped in, her voice taking on that particular brightness she used when she was about to sell you something you didn't want. But here's the beautiful part, Robert. This house, with the market the way it is right now, you're sitting on almost $900,000 in equity. We sell this place, get you settled in Sunshine Estates for about $6,000 a month, and you'll have plenty left over for years. Plenty left over, I repeated. For what? Marcus shifted in his chair. Dad, you know we're not asking for anything. This is about you being safe and cared for. Mom would have wanted you to be somewhere with support. Mom, Linda, the woman who spent the last year of her life planning for exactly this conversation. I appreciate your concern, I said, my voice even. Let me think about it. Dad, Marcus said, and now there was impatience creeping into his tone. We've already had the house assessed. Jennifer has 3 buyers ready to make offers. This is a seller's market. We can't wait too long or we'll lose the advantage. As if my house had suddenly become a group project. After they left, I sat in Linda's studio for a long time. The room still smelled like her, turpentine and jasmine perfume and the faint sweetness of the oil paints she preferred. Her last painting sat on the easel, unfinished. She'd been working on it until 3 days before she died. An abstract piece in blues and silvers that looked like water and light having a conversation. I walked to the supply cabinet and opened the bottom drawer. Underneath old brushes and dried-out paint tubes was a small, fireproof safe, the kind you can buy at any office supply store. Linda had installed it herself 2 years ago, when her diagnosis went from treatable to terminal. Inside was a thumb drive, a stack of legal documents, and an envelope with my name on it in Linda's handwriting. The letter was dated 6 months before she died. My darling Robert, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and Marcus is already circling. I've watched it happen for the past 3 years. The way he looks at our house, the way Rachel calculates everything we own, the way they've started talking about your future as if it's their asset to manage. I'm not angry at them. I'm disappointed, but not angry. Marcus learned from Rachel's family that love means leverage, that relationships are transactions, that parents exist to fund their children's lifestyles. He didn't used to be this way. Rachel changed him, or maybe she just revealed what was already there. Here's what you need to know. I paid off the house 2 years ago using money from my inheritance when Aunt Meg died. Marcus doesn't know about that inheritance, and he doesn't need to. The house is yours, free and clear, in your name only. I had Tom Rodriguez handle the paperwork. Remember Tom, my childhood friend from Sacramento who became a real estate attorney? He knows everything. Second thing, I bought a lake house in Montana 3 years ago. Small place, 2 bedrooms, sits right on Flathead Lake with the mountains behind it. It has a studio with northern light that's better than anything we ever had here. Cost me $340,000, paid cash from the same inheritance. It's in a trust with Sophie as the beneficiary, but you have lifetime use. Marcus and Rachel can't touch it. Third thing, Sophie's college fund. You've been sending her $800 a month for the past 2 years, right? I know you have because you're predictable and generous, and you love that girl more than you'll ever admit. Marcus and Rachel have been telling Sophie that they're the ones supporting her education, that they're making sacrifices to help her. They're taking credit for your money while draining her original college fund to pay for Rachel's lifestyle. I've documented everything. Bank statements, text messages, the works. Tom has copies. Fourth thing, the trust. I set up a special needs trust for you, not because you have special needs, but because it protects assets from creditors and from family members who might try to claim you're incompetent. Tom helped structure it. Marcus can't touch it, and if he tries to get conservatorship, the trust automatically shifts everything to Sophie with Tom as trustee until she's 25. I've been playing chess while they were playing checkers, my love. You taught me that back when we were dating, and you were trying to impress me with your strategic thinking. Use the thumb drive. I made videos, lots of them, instructions, encouragement, reminders of why boundaries aren't mean, they're necessary. And Robert, don't feel guilty. You gave our children everything they needed to become good people. If they chose otherwise, that's on them, not you. Montana is beautiful this time of year. The lake is cold but clean. The neighbors are friendly but not invasive. There's a workshop in the garage that's perfect for whatever engineering projects you want to tinker with. Sophie will love it. Amy will understand. I love you. I'm sorry I won't be there to watch you fight back, but I'll be cheering from wherever I end up. Give them hell, baby. Linda. I sat with that letter until the afternoon light started to fade, reading it 3 times, trying to absorb the depth of planning she'd done while fighting cancer, while pretending everything was fine, while protecting me from knowledge that would have made her last months even harder. The thumb drive contained 47 video files. I plugged it into my laptop and clicked the first one. Linda's face filled the screen, thinner than I remembered, wearing the blue scarf she'd bought to cover her hair loss, but smiling. "Hi, baby," she said, and my throat closed up. If you're watching this, Marcus has already made his move. Probably showed up with Rachel and a real estate agent, right? Probably talked about how you can't manage alone, how they're worried, how they've found this great facility. Let me guess. Rachel did most of the talking? I laughed despite myself. She'd predicted it perfectly. Here's the thing, Robert. Our son married a woman who sees relationships as bank accounts. She's not evil. She's just been taught that worth equals wealth, that love means never having to budget, that parents are retirement plans. And Marcus, God love him, he's weak where she's concerned. He'd rather keep peace with Rachel than keep faith with us. Linda leaned closer to the camera. You don't owe them your house. You don't owe them your independence. You don't owe them anything except honesty. And you've given them that their whole lives. What you owe yourself is dignity. What you owe Sophie is an example of what self-respect looks like. What you owe me is to use everything I've set up for you. She smiled, that familiar smile that had gotten me through 40 years of ups and downs. Tom's number is in the documents. Call him tomorrow. Start the process. And Robert? When they push back, and they will, remember that the loudest voices aren't always the rightest voices. Sometimes the people who love you most are the ones willing to let you disappoint them. I watched all 47 videos over the next 2 days. Linda talking about legal strategies, about how to handle different scenarios, about Montana and why she chose it, about Sophie and her artistic talent that Marcus and Rachel were trying to crush in favor of business school, about Amy and her quiet strength, about memories from our marriage that she wanted me to hold on to. The last video was different. She was in the hospital, clearly near the end, but her eyes were sharp. One last thing, my love. When you leave, and you will leave, don't feel guilty. Don't look back and wonder if you could have done more to keep the family together. You already did everything. You raised them, loved them, supported them, gave them chances to be better than they chose to be. Their choices are not your failures. Your choice to protect yourself is not your betrayal. It's your graduation. You earned this freedom. Take it. I called Tom Rodriguez the next morning. His secretary put me through immediately. Robert, Tom said, and I could hear the warmth in his voice. I've been waiting for your call. Linda said you'd need about 3 weeks after the funeral before Marcus made his move. She was off by 2 days. She usually was, I said. Right about the timeline, I mean. Listen, I've got everything ready. Documents filed, trust activated, Montana property transferred to the trust with you as lifetime beneficiary. The house in San Diego is yours, free and clear, and I've prepared cease and desist letters for any real estate agents who might be operating under false pretenses. Marcus is going to fight this, I said. Let him, Tom replied. Linda anticipated that too. She documented every conversation where they discussed your assets, every text message where Rachel calculated your estate value, every email where they planned your future without consulting you. If Marcus wants to go legal, we'll bury him in evidence of his own opportunism. That afternoon, I got a text from Marcus. Dad, Jennifer has an offer. $925K. Cash. Quick close. This is exactly what we hoped for. Can we come by tomorrow to discuss? I replied, no, just that. No. The phone rang within 2 minutes. Marcus, of course. Dad, what do you mean no? This is a great offer, way above asking. I didn't ask, I said calmly. I'm not selling. Dad, we've talked about this. You can't manage that house alone. The yard, the maintenance, the property taxes. It's not practical. I've managed fine for 39 years. I'll continue to manage. But Dad, Mom's gone now. Things are different. Yes, I agreed. Things are different. Your mother is gone, which means I get to decide what happens with our house. And I've decided it stays mine. Rachel's voice in the background. Let me talk to him. Dad, it's Rachel. Listen, I think maybe you're not thinking clearly. Grief can really affect judgment, especially at your age. We're just trying to help. At your age. There it was, the coded language that meant they'd already decided I was incompetent. Rachel, I appreciate your concern, but my judgment is fine. The house is not for sale. Robert, be reasonable. Marcus and I have already put time into this. Jennifer has buyers waiting. You can't just change your mind. I never made up my mind to sell, I said. That was your plan, not mine. I hung up before she could respond. The next morning, Amy called. Dad, Marcus says you're being difficult about the house. Is that what he's calling it? She sighed. What's really going on? Your mother left me some information, I said carefully. About finances, about planning, about things I didn't know she'd done. Like what? Like paying off the house so our children couldn't pressure me into selling it to fund their lifestyle. Silence. Then Amy said quietly, She knew. She knew, I confirmed. Did you? I suspected, Amy admitted. Rachel's been posting on Instagram about their real estate investment strategy. Pictures of luxury homes with captions about building wealth. I thought it was weird, but Marcus has always been influenced by her. Amy, your mother also told me about Sophie's college fund, about how I've been sending money that Marcus and Rachel are taking credit for. Another silence, longer this time. Dad, I didn't know about that, but it doesn't surprise me. Rachel's family is all about appearances. She grew up in a house where they'd buy designer clothes, but couldn't pay the electric bill. Your mother set up protections, I said. For me, for Sophie, for the assets we built. I'm going to use them. Good, Amy said fiercely. You should. And Dad, whatever you need, I'm here. Within a week, Marcus escalated. He showed up with his own lawyer, a slick young man named Brad, who specialized in elder law and had clearly been briefed on how to handle difficult seniors. Mr. Chen, Brad said, spreading papers across my kitchen table like he owned the place. I've been reviewing your situation, and frankly, I'm concerned. Living alone at your age, in a house this size, with recent grief affecting your mental state, there are liability issues. What if you fall? What if you forget to turn off the stove? What if you make financial decisions that aren't in your best interest? What if I tell you to leave my house? I asked. Brad smiled, not kindly. Mr. Chen, your son has asked me to explore options for ensuring your safety and protecting your assets. California law allows for conservatorship when an elderly person demonstrates inability to care for themselves properly. Marcus wouldn't meet my eyes. Rachel sat beside him, her face set in an expression of concerned determination. Are you threatening me? I asked directly. We're protecting you, Rachel said, whether you understand that right now or not. I stood up and walked to the kitchen counter, where I'd left my phone. I picked it up and pressed a button. The red recording dot appeared on screen. You've been recording us? Marcus's face flushed. I've been preserving conversations, I said calmly. California is a two-party consent state for private conversations. This is my house. I consent. You're welcome to leave if you don't. Brad gathered his papers quickly. Mr. Chen, this is highly inappropriate. So is threatening conservatorship to steal someone's house, I replied. Tom Rodriguez has been my attorney for 30 years. He's quite familiar with elder abuse law. I believe that's what you'd call a conservatorship petition filed solely to access someone's assets. Mr. Chen, your son is concerned about your welfare. I looked at Marcus directly. My son is concerned about his mortgage payment. There's a difference. After they left, I called Sophie. She answered on the third ring, her voice tentative. Grandpa? Sophie, I need to ask you something important, and I want you to be honest. The money for college, the $800 a month, Who told you where it comes from? She hesitated. Mom and Dad. They said they were sacrificing to help me, that they were working extra hours, that I should be grateful. Sophie, that money comes from me. Has for 2 years. What? Her voice went small. But they said, they showed me bank statements. Did those statements show my name? No, she whispered. They showed transfers from their account to mine. Oh my God. Grandpa, I've been thanking them. I wrote them a card last month about how much I appreciated their sacrifice. That's not your fault, sweetheart. How long have they been doing this? She asked, and I could hear the anger building. At least 2 years, that I know of. That's why they got mad when I wanted art school. They kept saying I owed them better choices, that they were investing in my future. But it wasn't even their money. No, I said gently. It wasn't. Grandpa, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. You have nothing to apologize for, I told her. But there's something else you should know. Your grandmother left you a college fund. A real one, not dependent on your parents. And she left you a lake house in Montana where she wanted you to be able to create art without anyone telling you to be practical. Sophie started crying. Not sad crying, but the kind that comes when something locked inside you finally breaks free. 2 weeks later, Marcus filed for conservatorship. The petition claimed I was suffering from grief-induced dementia, that I was making irrational financial decisions, that I was refusing appropriate care, that I represented a danger to myself. Tom Rodriguez filed a response that included medical evaluations from 3 doctors showing perfect cognitive function, financial records showing careful management of all accounts, video recordings of Marcus and Rachel discussing my assets like they already owned them, text messages where Rachel calculated my house value to the dollar, evidence that Marcus and Rachel had been taking credit for my financial support to Sophie, testimony from Amy about their true motivations. The court ordered a psychological evaluation. I spent 3 hours with Dr. Patricia Martinez, a neuropsychologist who specialized in elder care. She had me do memory tests, problem-solving exercises, situational judgment scenarios. At the end, she looked up from her notes and smiled. Mr. Chen, your cognitive function is better than most 40-year-olds I evaluate. You're sharp, organized, financially literate, and demonstrating excellent judgment. Would you like to know what I think is really going on here? Please. I think your son married someone who sees you as an inheritance, not a father. I think they're underwater financially and see your house as a life raft. I think they're using conservatorship law as a weapon, which is unfortunately common and absolutely unconscionable. Her report to the court was damning. Petitioner presents no evidence of cognitive decline. Subject demonstrates superior mental acuity, sound judgment, and appropriate emotional processing of grief. This petition appears motivated by financial interest rather than genuine concern for subject's welfare. Conservatorship is not warranted and would constitute abuse of the court system. The judge dismissed Marcus's petition and ordered him to pay court costs. Tom Rodriguez filed a restraining order preventing any further harassment. But I wasn't finished. Rachel had built her entire social media presence around luxury and success. Instagram full of carefully curated photos of their beautiful life. Facebook posts about their real estate investments. LinkedIn profile positioning Marcus as a successful pharmaceutical executive. What she didn't know was that Linda had taught me about social media too, had shown me how to screenshot things, how to archive posts, how to build a digital record. Tom helped me prepare a cease and desist letter that went to Marcus, Rachel, and the real estate agent, Jennifer. It detailed every unauthorized attempt to sell my property, every false claim made to potential buyers, every conversation where they'd presented themselves as having authority over my assets. The letter went certified mail. It arrived on a Thursday. Rachel's Instagram went dark that same day. Every post about their real estate portfolio, their investment strategy, their wealth building disappeared, because those posts were proof that they'd been operating under false pretenses, using my property to build credibility they hadn't earned. I didn't want revenge. I wanted boundaries. But sometimes boundaries look like consequences to people who've never respected them. Sophie called me a week after the court dismissed the conservatorship petition. Grandpa, I told them. About the money, about the lies, about Montana. How did they react? Mom cried. Dad got angry, said I was being ungrateful, that I didn't understand how hard they work. I told them I understood perfectly. They work hard to look successful while lying about where the success comes from. What did you say you wanted? I told them I'm taking a gap year, going to Montana with you, learning to paint like Grandma wanted to teach me. And then I'm applying to art school, not business school, and they can either support my actual dreams or stay out of my life. Sophie, you don't have to choose between them and me. I'm not choosing between you and them, she said firmly. I'm choosing between who they want me to be and who I actually am. Grandma's trust fund means I don't need their approval anymore. That's what freedom feels like. We left for Montana on a Tuesday morning in May, when the desert was starting to turn hot and the mountains were still holding snow. I'd sold Linda's paintings through a gallery in La Jolla, every single one, used the money to pay for Sophie's first year of art school and to set up a scholarship fund in Linda's name for young artists. The house in San Diego I gave to Amy, signed it over completely, with the condition that if she ever wanted to sell it, Sophie got first option to buy. Amy cried when I told her, said she didn't deserve it. I told her she deserved it because she'd never asked for it. The lake house in Montana sits exactly like Linda described it. 2 bedrooms painted in colors that capture the light different ways throughout the day. A studio with northern windows that frame the mountains. A workshop in the garage filled with Linda's tools and her projects she never finished. The lake is cold and so clear you can see 20 feet down. The neighbors wave when they pass by but don't pry. There's a small town 10 minutes away with a grocery store, a library, a diner that makes the best huckleberry pie I've ever tasted. Sophie set up her easel in Linda's studio and started painting, not copying Linda's style, but finding her own bold colors and geometric shapes that somehow capture emotion in ways I can't explain but can feel. She applied to 3 art schools and got into all 3. Chose the one in Seattle because she liked their focus on contemporary mixed media. I'll come back in summers, she said. Help you maintain this place. Paint the mountains. You don't have to. I know. That's why I want to. Amy visited last month, stayed for a week, hiked the trails around the lake, sat in the studio watching Sophie work. On her last night, we sat on the dock with glasses of wine, watching the sunset turn the water into liquid gold. Do you think Marcus will ever understand? She asked. Understand what? That he didn't lose an inheritance. He lost a father. I thought about it for a while, listening to the water lap against the dock. Maybe. Linda said in one of her videos that some people need to lose everything before they can see what they had. Maybe Marcus will get there. Maybe he won't. Either way, that's his journey now, not mine. Do you miss him? I miss who he used to be, I admitted. That little boy who wanted to build rockets, who drew blueprints for impossible machines, who looked at problems like puzzles to solve instead of obstacles to avoid. But that boy became a man who chose comfort over character. I can miss the boy without enabling the man. Linda would be proud of you, Amy said. Linda knew exactly what she was doing, I replied. She gave me permission to save myself. That's the greatest gift she could have left me. Before you go, I want you to think about something Linda said in one of her videos. Something that changed how I see family completely. She said, "The people who truly love you want you to flourish, even if that means flourishing somewhere they can't follow. The people who want to control you need you to stay small so they can feel big." The difference between those 2 types of love is the difference between a garden and a cage. Marcus and Rachel wanted a cage. They wanted me confined to their narrative, limited to their plans, small enough to manage and harvest when convenient. Linda built me a garden. Sophie chose to plant herself in that same soil. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to choose between family peace and personal dignity, if you've ever wondered whether setting boundaries makes you selfish or makes you sane, I want you to know something. You're not alone. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is walk away from people who love what you can give them more than they love who you are. I'm 67 years old. I live in a lake house my late wife bought in secret because she knew our son would try to steal my peace. My granddaughter lives here too, painting her way into a future her parents didn't approve but can't prevent. We eat breakfast on the dock when the weather allows. We watch the mountains change color with the seasons. We remember Linda in everything we do, and every single day, I'm grateful I had the courage to use the escape plan she built for me, because this isn't running away. This is running toward the life I earned, the peace I deserved, the freedom I finally claimed. The lake is cold and clean and utterly indifferent to family drama. The mountains don't care about property values or social status or who's right and who's wrong. Out here, you're measured by different standards, simpler ones, better ones. Can you fix what's broken? Can you appreciate beauty? Can you be honest about who you are and what you need? I'm still learning those lessons. Linda left me enough videos to last years, little encouragements and reminders tucked into files I discover when I need them most. Yesterday, I found one titled, "When You Start Feeling Guilty." She knew exactly how this would unfold, how I'd question myself, how I'd wonder if I was wrong. In the video, she's sitting in the studio here, in Montana, during one of her secret trips. "Robert," she says, "if you're watching this, you're probably wondering if you were too harsh. If you could have tried harder, if you failed them somehow. Let me be clear, you didn't fail. You set boundaries. Boundaries aren't walls to keep people out. They're gates that teach people how to come in properly. If Marcus and Rachel want a relationship with you, they know where you are. They know what you need. Honesty, respect, acknowledgement of what they did. The gate is there. They just have to choose to walk through it the right way." She smiles, that smile that carried me through 40 years. And if they never choose that, then you still have Sophie, you still have Amy, you still have yourself and your dignity and this beautiful place where you can finally breathe. That's not failure, my love. That's graduation. The sun's setting over Flathead Lake, and Sophie just called from the studio saying she finished her piece for the Seattle Art Institute application. Tomorrow we'll drive into town to mail it. After that, maybe we'll stop at the diner for huckleberry pie. Maybe we'll drive up to Glacier and see if the wildflowers have started blooming. Maybe we'll just come home and sit on the dock and do nothing at all. Because we can, because we're free, because Linda loved us enough to make sure we'd always have a choice. That's the real inheritance she left. Not money, not property, but the knowledge that love shouldn't cost you yourself. That family doesn't mean accepting whatever treatment people give you just because you share DNA. That sometimes the most loving thing you can do is show people the consequences of their choices. Marcus and Rachel are still in San Diego, still underwater on their mortgage, still performing success for social media. Amy told me Rachel got a job finally, working in a real estate office. Ironic given how that didn't work out for her before. Marcus is seeing a therapist, Amy says. Maybe he's working on things. Maybe he'll reach out someday. Maybe he won't. Either way, the gate is there. I'm not holding it open. I'm not begging him to use it, but it exists. Honesty, respect, accountability. Those are the keys. If he finds them, we'll talk. If he doesn't, I'll be here anyway, living the life his mother built for me, teaching his daughter what love actually looks like when it's not transactional. Sophie's laughing about something in the studio. The light's perfect right now, golden and soft, the kind of light Linda used to chase with her camera. I'm going to go watch her paint, maybe tinker in the workshop, maybe just exist in this moment without owing anyone anything except gratitude. That's freedom. That's what Linda gave us. That's what we choose every single day, and I've never been more at peace.